Hello everyone, welcome to this new tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to make a cardigan, and I believe that this is one of the simplest tutorial out there. I will be using this yarn, which is a wool cake, and I'll be using at least 3 of this because our cardigan will have a back panel and 2 front panels, and I want the 3 panels to have the same color pattern or the same color scheme. So I'll be using 3 of them at least, okay, so that I can keep the same color gradient in all the panels. Okay, but if you are using a unicolor yarn, you have to estimate how much you need from the length and the weight of your yarn. All right, let's get started. So I'll start by making a slip knot. Make a foundation chain that will have the length that I want my cardigan to have from shoulder to shoulder. Okay, so take your shoulder to shoulder measurements and preferably take it from the back. Okay, take your shoulder to shoulder measurement from the back and add 5 centimeters to it, because I want my cardigan to not to be too tight. That's why I want to add 5 centimeters to it so that it will be a little bit loose. But depending on how you want to do yours, you can add 2-3 centimeters to it. Okay, so I took my back to back measurement and it is 46 centimeters. Adding 5 to it, it makes it 51. And for me, I'll add another additional 6 centimeters because I used this yarn before and I know that it shrinks a lot. So I'll add 6 more centimeters to take into consideration the shrinkage. Okay, so depending on your yarn, you may also need to add few centimeters more or not, whether it stretch, whether it shrinks or not. Okay, so for me, I'll have 46 centimeters plus 5 to make the cardigan loose, so that's 51 centimeters plus additional 6 centimeters for the shrinkage, so I'll have 57 centimeters in total. Okay, so now I want to measure my foundation chain. Mine is 60. I wanted to make it 57. Yeah, I think it's still okay for me. So once you complete your chain, we will begin by making a single crochet, and we will do the single crochet inside the second chain before the crochet hook. So we have the crochet hook, we skip this chain and work inside the second chain. Okay, so inside the second chain, make a single crochet. Okay, now we'll skip the next chain, which is this one. We'll skip it, and before skipping chain 1, you skip it and you do a single crochet inside the following stitch. So inside the following stitch, make a single crochet. If you are afraid you may forget this first single crochet that we made at the beginning of the row, please add a stitch marker. So we will continue the same pattern. Chain 1, skip the next chain or the next stitch and work inside the following stitch. Do there a single crochet. Once again, chain 1, skip this the next stitch and do a single crochet inside the next one. Okay, one more time, chain 1, skip and do a single crochet inside the next stitch. So we are going to do this until the row is completely done. I will see you 2 or 3 stitches before the end of this row. Here so I am almost at the end. I have 3 stitches left. 1, 2, 3. I'll chain 1, skip this, work inside the following one, and now I have only 1 stitch left.
okay, this last stitch. So there is nothing I can skip anymore. I will do a single crochet here. Okay, so my row is ending with 2 single crochets. Okay, but for some of you it may look a little bit different. For some of you, you may rather have let me unravel this to show you what I mean. So for some of you, you have 2 stitches left, so you can chain 1 and then skip the next, work inside the following stitch, okay, which means that you have 1 single crochet and 1 space, okay, at the end of your row. And that's completely normal because it depends on whether you have an odd or even number of chains in your foundation chain. Okay, so it's completely normal if you end your row with 1 space and 1 single crochet, while mine is ending with 2 single crochets at the end. I hope you get what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so there are 2 ways you may end the row depending on whether you start with an even or odd number of chains. Okay, it may be with 2 single crochets like I do have here, or it may be with 1 space and 1 single crochet. Okay, all right, so now we'll chain 1, turn the work, undo a single crochet inside this very first stitch. Here I'll do a single crochet. So the pattern of this stitch that we are going to use requires that we work only inside the spaces that we created. So for me, I would like to work inside the next space, but before the space I do have 1 single crochet. Okay, because remember my previous row ended with 2 single crochets, so I need to skip the second single crochet to find myself inside the space. Okay, in order to skip that second single crochet, I'll chain 1, skip the single crochet and then work inside the space. So this is a single crochet, I'll skip it. This is a space, I'll work inside and then chain 1. This chain that we are skipping stands for the single crochet that we are skipping. Okay, so the chain 1 is very important. Chain 1, skip a single crochet, come inside the space and make a single crochet. Chain 1, skip inside the space, make a single crochet. So this is what we are going to follow until the end of the row. I'm almost at the end of the row. I did this single crochet and my very last stitch is going to be a single crochet again. And like I told you, it's completely fine if in your case you rather have 1 space and 1 single crochet. Okay, so chain 1, turn your work, and every time in this very first stitch we will do a single crochet. After that first single crochet, the next thing is to check whether you have another single crochet like I do here, or whether you have a space. If you have a space, go ahead and work inside the space. But if you have a single crochet like I do here, chain 1 in order to skip the single crochet, and then work inside the space. Okay, so our goal here is to work only inside the spaces. So if you have a space as a second stitch, please work inside it. If you rather have a single crochet, chain 1 and skip it. Okay, I hope I've been able to explain to you how this stitch works, but the principle is to work only inside the spaces. I hope I'm a good teacher and I'm able to explain very well. All right, so every time chain 1, skip the single crochet and work inside the space. So basically this is what we are going to do all along until we reach the length of the cardigan. Okay, the bottom to top length of the cardigan. So I have 49 centimeters, and I think I will leave it there, okay, with the length of 49 centimeters. So for this panel, I used almost all the colors except the last one, which I'm going to reserve to make the ribbons at the end. Okay, so for all my yarns, I'll leave this color, the last of the cake, to make the ribbon. So that's why I cut the yarn here on this color. Of course, if you are not using a multicolor yarn, you don't need to cut your yarn at this point, but mine, I need to do it because I want to switch to another yarn, so I needed to cut it. I just reattached my yarn, and to begin with the front panels, what we did until now was the back panel. So to start the front panels, we will do a row of only single crochets. So please go ahead and make single crochets until the end of this row, okay? And after the single crochets, we will start the front panels. After making the single crochet, go ahead and measure your panel. Okay, this is the back panel. Go ahead and measure the back panel. Mine is, let me see, 41 centimeters, right? So from this 41 centimeters, I want to remove 13 centimeters for the neck. Okay, the space for the neck will be 13 centimeters, and that's about 5 inches. Okay, if you are working with inches. So after removing the neck space, divide the result by 2, and that will give you the width of your front panel. So in my case, I have the width of my cardigan, which is 51, minus 13 centimeters, that gives me 38 centimeters, divided by 2, 19 centimeters. So I'll go ahead and measure 19 centimeters. It's somewhere here, and then mark it. Let me go a little bit up. 19 centimeters, that's somewhere around here. Okay, and after marking, please count to see how many stitches make it 19 centimeters, and you should apply the same thing on the other side. So my 19 centimeters fall inside the stitch 30. I have to count another 30 from here, okay, and mark it as well. So all right, this means in the middle here I should have 13 centimeters. Let me measure it out. Yeah, so to start the front panels, chain 1 and turn the work, and we will resume the same pattern that we were using before. So do a single crochet in the very first stitch. Okay, chain 1, skip the next stitch, inside the following, make a single crochet. So this is basically the same stitch that we used for the back panel. Do it until you get to the stitch marker where you marked the neckline space. Here is the stitch marker, okay, and in the previous stitch I have a single crochet. and there is no option for me to skip, so I'll just go ahead and make, first remove the stitch marker and make a single crochet inside. Okay, so after this, chain one, turn your work and resume the stitch. Okay, so inside this very first, make a single crochet, and for me, after that single crochet, I have another single crochet which I'm going to skip, chain one, skip, inside the space, make a single crochet. So this is basically the same stitch that we used, or the same principle that we applied for the back panel. Okay, so do the same back and forth until you get the length of the cardigan, I mean the length that you have for the back panel, and make sure you make the same number of rows that you did for the back panel.
So I'm done with the first front panel. So this is the back panel and this is the first front panel. Okay, and now I'm ready to start the second front panel. This is the stitch marker that I put before, and at that very place where the stitch marker is, I'll come and reattach my yarn. So at this very place, we will do one single crochet, and for me, I will put the stitch marker back to mark where my very first single crochet is, and we'll continue with our pattern as we were doing it before. So chain one, skip the following stitch, the following stitch, and work inside the next one. And if you want, you may also go ahead and start hiding your yarn, the other tail, as you're going. So chain one, skip inside the following one, make a single crochet. Okay, so continue like this until we get to the end. Okay, so at the end of the row, as you can see, and we chain one. Okay, to turn the work, turn your work, make a single crochet, and for me, I have a space here at the beginning, so I'll do a single crochet inside. And you know the song now. If you rather have a single crochet here, chain one and skip it. Okay, so yeah, the pattern goes on like that until you reach your the length of your back panel, which is also the length of the first front panel that you did. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and once I complete my second front panel, I will meet you for the sleeves. Alright, so I am done with my two front panels, as you can see, and I'm now ready to start the sleeves. Actually, I already went ahead and made one of my sleeves, as you can see, and I will show you how to make your sleeve as well. So once you have your two front panels, the next thing to do is to define the armhole. I mean, how large you want your sleeves to be. So that space left for the armhole, I used 7.5 inches or 20 centimeters. I'm doing actually a size S M cardigan, so depending on the size that you're making, you may need to make that space bigger, but for me the 20 centimeters or 7.5 inches is quite OK. What we are going to do next is to sew the back and front panel together. So take your crochet hook and reattach your yarn. After reattaching the yarn, we'll make single crochets to sew the two panels together. On this side where we are sewing the two panels together is going to be the wrong side of the cardigan. So make your single crochet in the first stitches in the front and the back. You move to the next stitch in the front, insert your crochet hook, insert the crochet as well in the next stitch in the back, and make a single crochet. Okay, so you insert the crochet hook in the front, at the back as well, and make a single crochet. So this is how we are going to join our two panels together until you reach where the stitch marker is, where the armpit is located for your cardigan. Once you reach the armpit, you can remove the stitch marker and do your last single crochet in the two panels to sew them together. Once that is done, you can cut the yarn. So cut the yarn and fasten off. After that, now we can start the sleeves, the real sleeves. So reattach your yarn, and after reattaching, make a single crochet. After this first single crochet, we will make only single crochets all around until we get to the ends of this row that is meant for the sleeves. So everywhere in this row we will make only single crochets. One single crochet per row, one single crochet per row until you get to the end of this first row of the sleeve. Once you are at the end of the row, you join using a slip stitch, but something very important is that you have to count the number of stitch that you have, I mean the number of single crochets that you made, so that you are sure you replicate the exact same number of single crochet in your second sleeve. If not, you may end up with different sizes of sleeves. So count the number of single crochets that you made for your sleeve, and once you know that number, write it down, take note of it, and you are ready to join with a slip stitch. Please mark this place where you're putting the slip stitch to join, because it's a tricky place. If you are not an experienced crocheter, you shouldn't work inside that yellow stitch marker where I put the yellow stitch marker in your next row, but we will see that later. So after marking the joining stitch with the yellow marker, for me, I made one chain, and this first chain counts as the first stitch of the row. After that, I made a second chain, which is the skipping chain. Alright, so after that second chain, I'll skip the next stitch of the row and work inside the following, which is basically to resume the stitch that we were using since the beginning of this cardigan. Okay, so we have one chain that counts as the first stitch of the row. We have a second chain that counts as the skipping chain. What I'm doing now is to mark the first chain with the purple marker. Okay, so I have two markers, one for the joining stitch where I'm not going to work in the next row, and the purple marker who serves as the joining stitch for the next row. We will see that when I start the second row, and you will understand better if maybe my explanation right now is a bit confusing for you. So at the end I have one stitch left. Actually, this stitch here is confusing because it looks like a stitch where we should work, but this is where I joined my row right previously, and this place where I have this purple marker is actually where the row starts. Okay, and I shouldn't work in this yellow stitch marker. That's why I put the stitch marker actually, so that I know that I should avoid it at the end. I shouldn't work inside. So I'll chain one because I have one stitch here that I'm skipping, and I will join here, okay, where the purple marker is. To join, make a slip stitch like this. I can now remove my marker and put it again here. Okay, so every time I'll meet the yellow marker, I know that I wouldn't work inside because it's my joining stitch, and this purple marker will be in my first single crochet like this. Okay, so you see this single crochet, which is now the first of the row. I know that this is where I will join next time when I come at the end of the row. Okay, I hope it makes sense what I'm explaining. All right, so for me, I started my row with a space, so I walk right inside the space, make a single crochet and chain one, skip, walk inside the space. Okay, all right, so this is it basically about what you need to know for the row for the sleeves. Okay, do this until you get your desired length for your sleeve, and I'll meet you to do the cuff. Alright, I have my sleeve ready. I have the length that I want for my sleeve, and now I want to start the cuff. But before doing the cuff, we need to make some reductions. My first stitch of this row is a space, so I'll start a single crochet, which I'm not going to end, so I have 2 loops on the crochet hook. I will look for the second space on the row, insert my crochet hook, start another single crochet, which I'm going to end this time. So pull the yarn out of the 3 loops, and then you have your first reduction that I'm marking here, okay, to remember it. So after that reduction, we will do 2 normal single crochets. We'll do 1 single crochet on top of the next single crochet of the row. You do 1 single crochet there. On the next stitch is a space. We will do one single crochet inside the space. After those two normal single crochet, we will do another reduction. So look for the next space, start a single crochet that you're not going to end, look for the next space, and then end the single crochet, which will create another reduction. Okay, after that, make a single crochet on top of the next single crochet and another single crochet in the next space. So we have two normal single crochets and then one reduction. On the reductions, how we do them only in two consecutive spaces. So I just did a reduction. I'll now do one single crochet on top of the previous single crochet and another single crochet in the next space, and then the reduction. So do this until you get to the end of the row, and then you will join to the first stitch where we did the first reduction.
I have all my reductions done. I joined to the first stitch where the row started, and now we are ready to start the cuff. So start by making 12 chains. I'm making 12. You may make it longer if you want, but I'm making 12. And after the 12 chains, we will do single crochets starting from the 11th chain. Okay, so this is chain number 12, this is 11. Come inside and make a single crochet. Okay, and like that, make single crochets in all the chains until you get to the base. I have my single crochets done. I have 11 in total, and we will attach to the base. So come inside the next stitch here. We started from here, right? So come inside here, attach your yarn at the base with a slip stitch. Okay, do another slip stitch inside the next stitch to start the next row. And to do that, before starting the next row, we will chain one and turn the work, because now we are going to use only back back stitches. Okay, so inside this stitch, which is the first one, make a normal single crochet. Okay, inside the next one, make a back loop single crochet. So for beginners, you see this stitch, you have a front loop and a back loop, so make a back loop single crochet. Okay, in the last one, in the next one, sorry, make again a back loop single crochet until we get to the last one, and there we will do a normal single crochet. Okay, so for this, the last one, we will do a normal single crochet. Okay, so we go through the two loops, not only the back loop. Chain one, turn your work. Inside this very first stitch, make a single crochet, and until you get to the end, make a back loop single crochet. I have my last stitch left here. I'll do a normal single crochet. Okay, and attach to the base. So I will attach to the base, make another slip stitch, chain 1, turn the work, and start again back loops. Every time when you are in this last stitch, make a normal single crochet, chain 1, turn your work, start with a normal single crochet. Now resume with the back loop single crochets. And for the last one, always make a normal single crochet, not a back loop but a normal single crochet. After that, attach to the base, do a slip stitch in the next stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. So do it like this, and I'll show you how to join the once you complete the entire row. The cuff is almost finished. Now I have to join these two edges, these two sides together. Okay, so for that I will use the front loop of the side that I just finished, which is this. Okay, so I will use the insert the crochet hook inside the front loop, go and get the front loop of the other side as well, and join them with a slip stitch. Front loop at the back, join them with a slip stitch. So do this until the end of the cuff. And for the last one, I will go through the two loops. I'll go under the stitch. Okay, not only the front loop but under the two loops of the stitch. Same thing at the back as well, and slip stitch. Now we are ready to cut the yarn, and we can fasten off. Okay, so the cuff is completed. Now this is the bottom of my cardigan. So you have the back panel, one front panel, on the second front panel. So we'll start by making single crochets all around on this, starting from this front panel, go all around to the back panel, come to the second front panel, move towards toward the neckline, and until we come back to where we started from. So we'll make single crochets. For that I will attach my yarn, so we start with a single crochet. I have a space here, so I did the single crochet there. The next stitch how to do a single crochet inside. So we do single crochet in all the stitches. Okay, so I went all around and made the single crochets. This is where I joined this side and this side together, and we'll start the ribbons at the bottom of the cardigan, exactly the same way we did it for the cuff, the hand cuff. So start with 12 chains, and make single crochets starting from the second chain. The ribbons at the bottom are completed, and now we have to do some ribbons as well from bottom to top, passing by the neckline. And I put some stitch markers to mark where I want to put the buttons for the cardigan. If you also want to put some buttons, then you should put your stitch markers. Where I have um the blue markers is the side where I want to put the buttons, on this side is where I want to put the holes to close the cardigan with, right? So we'll start with this side, and we are going to do the exact thing that we did for the bottom and for the cuffs, except that this time we will account for the spaces or the holes that we want to make for the buttons. And for the ribbons on the side, I want to make them smaller than these ribbons at the bottom. So I'll do half of what we have here. I'll do 6 chains instead of 12 that I did at the bottom. So it's exactly the same thing, the same process. We'll do first single crochets in all the chains, and then do back loop single crochets. So do that until you reach your first marker, and I'll show you how to make a hole for the buttons. And the next row is where I'm going to make the hole. So to make the hole, I will do my first single crochet, and for the next stitches, instead of making the back loop single crochets, I would rather make some chains. So I have, in my case, I have 4 stitches left. I will make 3 chains and come and do a single crochet in the last stitch. So
1 2 3. That accounts for the 3 stitches that I'm leaving here, and I will do a single crochet here. So this will be the space for my buttons. I'm making a relatively big space because my buttons are also big. Okay, so this is going to be my button, so that's why I make the space relatively big. So take into consideration the size of your button while you are making this space. And after that, you continue the work as normal. Okay, you turn your work, make a single crochet, and here you do single crochets only because there is no back loop. Here in this case, you make your single crochets until you reach the end, and you continue like this until you complete the whole edge, okay, with your ribbon. And for the second side, this is the side where I want the buttonhole to be. This side is where I want the buttons to stay. For this side of the edge, we are not putting any hole. I hope you know that, right? So here I'll show you how I place the buttons after I do the ribbons on this side. It's almost the end. Here I did the edges, bottom to the top, passing by the neckline. I made the holes for the buttons, and I also went ahead and placed already some button. I will show you how I place the button if you don't know how to do it. So first, here is the buttonhole, right? And I already marked where I want to place the button, so I'll pass my needle in the stitch, pull it out, and pass it through the button in the first hole of the button. Then I'll go through the second hole of the button and pass the yarn at the back. So yeah, as simple as that. I will do a second round through the holes to secure everything. You can even do a third run. I think I'll do a third run to make sure it is well secured. We have the button fixed. We can now cut the yarn, make a knot at the back, so the buttons, you place them on the right side. So far we have been working on the wrong side, so now the button should be placed on the right side. So I turned my work right side out when it was time to place the buttons. Yeah, so that is it. You can cut these or hide them, and there you have the cardigan finally completed. I hope you liked the tutorial. If you did, please hit the notification button to see my next videos. Give a like, a thumbs up to the video, and I hope to see you again in the next tutorial.